In one of the final acts of its 20-year war in Afghanistan, the United States fired a missile from a drone at a car in Kabul. It was parked in the courtyard of a home, and the explosion killed 10 people, including 43-year-old Zemarai Ahmadi and 7 children, according to his family. The Pentagon claimed that Ahmadi was a facilitator for the Islamic State and that his car was packed with explosives, posing an imminent threat to U.S. troops guarding the evacuation at the Kabul airport.
The procedures were correctly followed, and it was a righteous strike.
What the military apparently didn't know was that Ahmadi was a longtime aid worker who colleagues and family members said spent the hours before he died running office errands and ended his day by pulling up to his house.
Hey, that's our woke general, by the way.
Soon after, his Toyota was hit with a 20-pound Hellfire missile. What was interpreted as a suspicious move.
Do you think that the U.S. would just really lie and just kill someone for fun? I think the United States routinely did this, so much so that we just don't care. We just don't care. We don't care if the intelligence is f***ed up.
Moves of a terrorist may have just been an average day in his life. And it's possible that what the military saw Ahmadi loading into his car were water canisters he was bringing home to his family, not explosives. Using never-before-seen security camera footage of Ahmadi, interviews with his family, co-workers, and witnesses, we will piece together for the first time his movements in the hours before he was killed. Zemarai Ahmadi was an electrical engineer by training. For 14 years, he had worked for the Kabul office of nuclear.
Dude, it's wild that they brutally murder someone who's an aid worker and their entire family, and then they turn around and have the audacity to, like, post-mortem say that they're a terrorist or some shit.
Nutrition and Education International.
NEI established a total of 11 soybean processing plants in Afghanistan.
It's a California-based NGO that fights malnutrition. On most days, he drove one of the company's white Toyota Corollas, taking his colleagues to and from work and distributing the NGO's food to Afghans displaced by the war. Only 3 days before Ahmadi was killed, 13 U.S. troops and more than 170 Afghan civilians died in an Islamic State suicide attack at the airport. The military had given lower-level commanders the authority to order airstrikes earlier in the evacuation, and they were bracing for what they feared was another imminent attack. To reconstruct Ahmadi's movement on August 29th, in the hours before he was killed, the Times pieced together the security camera footage from his office with interviews with more than a dozen of Ahmadi's colleagues and family members. Ahmadi appears to have left his home around 9 a.m.
By the way, remember, this is brilliant work from the New York Times. I just want to fucking have you guys remember that, like, 170 civilians died during the ISIS bombing, and we still don't know how many of them were shot and killed by the American forces in the fog of war, where they didn't know who the fuck was ISIS and who was just, you know, the Taliban, or who the fuck were just Afghan civilians. 170 civilians died. Over 200? Oh, it's more than that? I thought it was 170. Wait, what? Some of them were shot? Yes, yes. Some of them were shot. A lot of them were shot.
He then picked up a colleague and his boss's laptop near his house. It's around this time that the U.S. military claimed it observed a white sedan leaving an alleged Islamic State safe house around 5 kilometers northwest of the airport. That's why the U.S. military said they tracked Ahmadi's Corolla that day. They also said they intercepted communications from the safe house, instructing the car to make several stops. But every colleague who rode with Ahmadi that day said what the military interpreted as a series of suspicious moves was just a typical day in his life. After Ahmadi picked up another colleague, the three stopped to get breakfast, and at 9:35 a.m., they arrived at the NGO's office. Later that morning, Ahmadi drove some of his coworkers to a Taliban-occupied police station to get permission for future food distribution at a new displacement camp. At around 2 p.m., Ahmadi and his colleagues returned to the office. The security camera footage we obtained from the office is crucial to understanding what happens next. The camera's timestamp is off, but we went to the office and verified the time. We also matched an exact scene from the footage with a timestamped satellite image to confirm it was accurate. At 2:35 p.m., Ahmadi pulls out a hose, and then he and a coworker fill empty containers with water. Earlier that morning, we saw Ahmadi bring these same empty plastic containers to the office. There was a water shortage in his neighborhood, his family said, so he regularly brought water home from the office.
What is this?
At around 3:38 p.m., a colleague moves Ahmadi's car further into the driveway. A senior U.S. official told us that at roughly the same time, the military saw Ahmadi's car pull into an unknown compound 8 to 12 kilometers southwest of the airport. That overlaps with the location of the NGO's office, which we believe is what the military called an unknown compound. With the workday ending, an employee switched off the office generator, and the feed from the camera ends. We don't have footage of the moments that followed. But it's at this time, the military said, that its drone feed showed 4 men gingerly loading wrapped packages into the car. Officials said they couldn't tell what was inside them. This footage from earlier in the day shows what the men said they were carrying.
Remember how we retaliated after 13 American military members were killed in an ISIS-K bomb?
Did we kill a lot more people that weren't?
And then, like, in that strike, which the American media did not even cover at all, almost 200 Afghan civilians were murdered. Some of them were not murdered by the bomb, but instead murdered by U.S. military forces shooting at them. We didn't even give that a fucking moment of coverage. But not only that, but also on top of that, we immediately retaliated. We were looking for a target, and we blew up this fucking car. And when we blew up this fucking car, we claimed this guy was an ISIS collaborator who we murdered. But alongside that car that blew up, we killed an entire family, 7 children.
Jesus Christ.
Right? It was like an entire fucking family that we killed.
What year was this?
What do you mean what year was this? This was like 2 weeks ago, man.
Oh, shit.
God damn, you are... Okay, anyway.
What? Well, we do this a lot, is what I'm saying. I just...
Okay. So, the American military at the time literally fucking claimed that the person they murdered was an ISIS collaborator, and the family was just collateral damage. Like, that's just what it is. It is what it is. Like, sorry, sucks to suck. The person is going to die, right? There's no sticker of the address, right?
No.
Okay. Turns out the person that they murdered wasn't even a fucking ISIS vehicle, and there wasn't even bombs within the vehicle. It was
blew up a family for no reason.
They blew up a family that was carrying fucking water. He was an aid worker that was carrying water.
Their laptops, one in a plastic shopping bag. And the only things in the trunk, Ahmadi's coworker said, were the water containers. Ahmadi dropped each one of them off, then drove to his home in a dense neighborhood near the airport. He backed into the home's small courtyard. Children surrounded the car, according to his brother. A U.S. official said the military feared the car would leave again and go into an even more crowded street or to the airport itself. The drone operators, who hadn't been watching Ahmadi's home at all that day, quickly scanned the courtyard and said they saw only one adult male talking to the driver and no children. They decided this was the moment to strike. A U.S. official told us that the strike on Ahmadi's car was conducted by an MQ-9 Reaper drone that fired a single Hellfire missile with a 20-pound warhead. We found remnants of the missile, which experts said matched a Hellfire at the scene of the attack. In the days after the attack, the Pentagon repeatedly claimed that the missile strike set off other explosions, and that these likely killed the civilians in the courtyard.
Yeah, that's why they claimed that the fucking secondary explosions were from the car, and the car actually had bombs in it, and that's why the family died.
Significant secondary explosions from the targeted vehicle indicated the presence of a substantial amount of explosive material.
Because there were secondary explosions, there's a reasonable conclusion to be made.
Remember, he's like woke. No, exactly. These guys are just, there's no such thing as like a fucking woke general. Okay? Every single one of these people are fucking monsters.
That there was explosives in that vehicle.
But a senior military official later told us that it was only possible to probable that explosives in the car caused another blast. We gathered photos and videos of the scene taken by journalists and visited the courtyard multiple times. We shared the evidence with 3 weapons experts who said the damage was consistent with the impact of a Hellfire missile. They pointed to the small crater beneath Ahmadi's car and the damage from the metal fragments of the warhead. This plastic melted as a result of a car fire triggered by the missile strike. All 3 experts also pointed out what was missing: any evidence of the large secondary explosions described by the Pentagon. No collapsed or blown out walls, including next to the trunk with the alleged explosives. No sign that a second car parked in the courtyard was overturned by a large blast. No destroyed vegetation. All of this matches what eyewitnesses told us, that a single missile exploded and triggered a large fire.
We killed an aid worker and his family and then lied about how he was actually ISIS affiliated and had bombs in his fucking car. You're welcome. That's America. That's what America's impact is when they're in countries like Afghanistan. That's what America has been doing for the past 20 fucking years. We are every bit responsible for every single act of terror that has happened in the world since 9/11. Okay? We radicalized these people. We gave them the fucking tools of radicalization. We gave them the weapons and the training. And then we act like surprise Pikachu
Love you, Austin.
when that shit comes back.
And Hassan too. Smile.
Sometimes to US soil. Very rarely. Insane.
Madge.
We're responsible for a lot more bloodshed even before 9/11. Ironically, another 9/11 is the assassination. Well, not the assassination, but like the coup d'etat of Allende's government that also happened on 9/11.
About this last night and
that's the first 9/11.
The devil.
That was what we did. But I'm talking about it from the point of view of, like, you know,
11 months swoop.
America's war on terror. It's so fucked up, dude. It's so incredibly fucked up.
There is one final detail visible in the wreckage: containers, identical to the ones that Ahmadi and his colleague filled with water and loaded into his trunk before heading home. Even though the military said the drone team watched the car for 8 hours that day, a senior official also said they weren't aware of any water containers. The Pentagon has not provided the Times with evidence of explosives in Ahmadi's vehicle or shared what they say is the intelligence that linked him to the Islamic State. But the morning after the US killed Ahmadi, the Islamic State did launch rockets at the airport from a residential area Ahmadi had driven through the previous day. And the vehicle they used was a white Toyota.
Oops. Got the wrong white Toyota and executed an entire fucking family, dude.
The U.S. military has so far acknowledged only 3 civilian deaths from its strike and says there is an investigation underway.
Yeah, this is like when cops murder a fucking black teenager and then have other cops look into it and find no wrongdoing, by the way. Think about it this way. Think about it this way, dude. We've been getting away with this shit for so many fucking years. The media is also complicit in this. They rarely ever fucking cover it. We've been doing this for such a long time. Now think about it domestically. The American police force gets away with intense, incredible amounts of brutality against its own citizens on U.S. soil. A lot of which escalated after 9/11 too. When the American police force started getting counterterrorism training from the IDF, by the way, which is a violent, brutal apartheid state, an occupying force on Palestinian soil that subjects Palestinians to endless, untold amounts of cruelty on a daily basis. So a country that doesn't treat its own marginalized populations with an ounce of fucking dignity, why the fuck would they ever think twice about bombing the shit out of civilians overseas that are brown? The only time Barack Obama's ever apologized for drone striking people was when an Italian and a French, I think, civilian was murdered as collateral damage. The American government has never publicly apologized for the hundreds of people that have died in Pakistan. They've never apologized for the hundreds of people that have, or thousands of people that have died in Afghanistan, in Iraq. And they will never apologize. Austin is not talking! I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. Scared the shit out of me. God damn. The fuck was that?
They have also admitted to knowing nothing about Ahmadi before killing him, leading them to interpret the work of an engineer at a US NGO as that of an Islamic State terrorist. 4 days before Ahmadi was killed, his employer had applied for his family to receive refugee resettlement in the United States. At the time of the strike, they were still awaiting approval. Looking to the US for protection, they instead became some of the last victims in America's longest war.
Hi, I'm Evan, one of the producers on this story.
What a fucking nightmare, dude. There's nothing. There's no recourse either.
You have a cute girl over. Joe Rogan when?
I'm not hot enough to watch Joe Rogan with his son.
Yeah. This is why I'm fucking terrified of like continued air operations in Afghanistan and other countries that we just like roll through. Very little media coverage on this. Like there will be no media coverage when we have functionally fucking left. When we functionally left these countries and we're just like blowing the fuck out of civilians nonstop. We'll never ever we'll never pay attention to it. And this will keep going. The cycle of fucking violence will continue. It's so horrible, dude.
Oh, is this Hogwatch?
Anyway. Yeah, let's watch something that Reverend Wright had to say about this.
That what Malcolm X said when he got silent.
That'll put me in a better mood, I hope.
By Elijah Muhammad was in fact true. America's chickens are coming home to roost. A white ambassador said that, y'all, not a black militant.
Where is the goddamn America one, too? This is why they fucking... They used this speech against Obama.
11 months on the 11th of
this
September.
Was Reverend Wright, famous reverend in Chicago, was Obama's reverend. You know, when he had use for him. When he had actual use for him to get clout, to build up clout in Chicago. Who threw him aside like a fucking used napkin. Threw him under the goddamn bus. The moment that his like radical speeches were used as opposition research against Obama.
Where governments lie,
here's another one.
God does not lie. Where governments change, God does not change. And I'm through now. But let me leave you with one more thing. Governments fail. The government in this text, comprised of Caesar, Quirinius, Pontius Pilate, Pontius Pilate. The Roman government failed. The British government used to rule from east to west. The British government had a Union Jack. She colonized Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, and Hong Kong. Her navies ruled the 7 seas all the way down to the tip of Argentina in the Falklands. But the British government failed. The Russian government failed. The Japanese government failed. The German government failed. And the United States of America government, when it came to treating her citizens of Indian descent fairly, she failed. She put them on reservations. When it came to treating her citizens of Japanese descent fairly, she failed. She put them in internment prison camps. When it came to treating the citizens of African descent fairly, America failed. She put them in chains. The government put them on slave quarters, put them on auction blocks, put them in cotton fields, put them in inferior schools, put them in substandard housing, put them them in scientific experiments, put them in the lowest paying jobs, put them outside the equal protection of the law, kept them out of their racist bastions of higher education, and locked them into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America? No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America, that's in the Bible, for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating her citizens as less than human. God damn America, as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is supreme.
So
Austin looks
that was so fucking that speech, while completely factually correct in every sense of the fucking word. And by the way, that was Obama's pastor, or Obama's reverend, and Obama fucking hung him out to dry when they used those speeches against Obama, saying like that's Obama's like radical reverend.
Dude, I just felt like I was texting in class and my teacher like called on me.
Oh, you didn't watch any of that?
No, I was watching, but you just called on me and I had to put my phone up. I felt like I was texting in class.
All these daily streams, whether big or whether small, so there he is again. The sun is streaming, the sun is streaming. You wait.